Welcome to Module 8, Part 1. Today we're going to talk about attitude and mindset. These are keys to professional success. Your attitude shapes your professional journey. This presentation explores how mindset influences workplace success. So we're going to examine three areas here: positive outlook, the growth mindset, and emotional resilience. What is a positive and solution oriented outlook? So, the definition is the habit of approaching challenges with optimism and seeking solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Basically, just being positive about the situation. Why is this important to the workplace? Because it creates collaborative environments where innovation thrives and obstacles become opportunities. So basically, you can work together and have new ideas that creates better business. And lastly, the benefit of having a positive outlook is it really builds team morale, productivity, makes you work harder, and you're also able to problem solve easier. Approaching challenges with optimism. So, reframing negative solutions is a great way to do this. So, instead of saying, "This is impossible," you can say, "How can we make this possible?" Or instead of saying, "We've never done this," you can say, "We have an opportunity to do this," or "We have an opportunity to innovate," right? Finding opportunities in obstacles is beautiful because every problem contains the seeds of its own solution, and challenges reveal areas for growth and development, and sometimes they can ultimately lead to a better business or a better plan to create more customer engagement or, just develop more money through something. Not develop, generate. Um, but let's talk about focusing on possibilities, not problems. Okay. So when you are focusing on possibilities, you're identifying the issue. Clearly define what needs solving without blame. Don't point fingers and say, "Well, she did it, he did it." Just what's the issue? Be very objective. You can generate ideas. That helps you focus on the possibilities. Brainstorm multiple solutions, without judgment. Don't say, "Oh, that's never going to work," or anything to that effect. Just think of ideas and leave it at that. And then evaluate those options. Really think about it. Consider what's feasible and the potential impact that's going to have. Can you really do that? Is it going to be beneficial for the company? And lastly, when we're focusing on possibilities and not problems, we are solution oriented. We're implementing solutions, acting with confidence, and just monitoring the results of it, not focusing on problems, but focusing on possibilities. Okay, so now we are going to look at positive outlook in action. What does it look like to have a positive mindset? If you look at these pictures, okay, before up here we see the challenge was this company, it's a retail company, they faced 40% drop in foot traffic after the pandemic. So team morale was low. The company is just like, "Man, we're not, selling as much. People are not coming in." So in order to have a positive outlook, you could respond to that with a solution focused response and say, like, instead of layoffs, let's brainstorm new customer experiences. And you can try to develop some type of hybrid shopping model. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but when the pandemic happened, COVID-19 shut everything down. When we kind of started getting on our feet a little bit more, people started shopping online. And so the staff of this company brainstormed, those hybrid shopping models. Hey, they can still come in the store, right? We're dropping in foot traffic, but let's give them the opportunity to order online as well. Let's deliver it to their door in case they're afraid of catching COVID, right? And the results, this is the after, it looks a lot brighter. The results were that sales rebounded 65%. Customer satisfaction increased. They loved having that opportunity. And then the team cohesion strengthened because it's like, oh, it's not over yet, you know? So that's what it looks like to have a positive mindset. and just be really, really open minded, goal oriented, and non judgmental because you are going to have problems in your workplace environment. You're going to have them, it's inevitable. You just have to have that positive outlook. Now, let's talk about your growth mindset. Okay, Carol Dweck's research reveals that believing your talents can be developed, which is your growth mindset, will create a love of learning and resilience. So, we really, really, really need to master this growth mindset. It starts with potential, believing that your abilities can be developed. Then you're going to learn, right? Embrace those challenges as you grow, learn more about them. And then lastly, you're going to master. You excel through the persistence. You have this level of excellence through the persistence, this level of greatness, that effort that you're putting forth, and you're like, I got this. That is the growth mindset. But if you are not familiar with the growth mindset and you're like, how do I even develop this? How do I become open to learning and development? What am I doing? You are going to need to look at this beautiful spinning wheel here, this blue circle. It is about the cycle. Learn, okay? Actively seek new knowledge and skills. Learn all that you can learn. Then apply that knowledge. Put it into practice. Try new things. Try what you just learned. And then you're going to get feedback. Okay, a little constructive criticism. Gather some input on your performance. Maybe ask your boss, hey, how did I do? I tried this new skill. Let's say hypothetically, you don't know how to stock shelves. You've never stocked shelves before. So you learn and then you apply it. You stock shelves. Then you're going to ask your boss, hey, how did I do? Did I do a good job stocking shelves? And based off of that feedback, you are lastly going to adjust, refine your approach based on the feedback. So your boss might say, that's pretty good, but you scooted a little bit too close to the edge of the shelf. So you need to scoot it back. So you're going to adjust. Next time, you'll just scoot it back. If you are in retail, maybe they want the clothes color coded or folded a certain way, or, you just never know. It's always, always good to be open to learning and development in any job that you have. That openness and willingness to adapt and improve is going to change your life. Employers love employees that are that way. That strategic flexibility to adjust your goals and methods as circumstances change, and that go with the flow attitude. Amazing. And then having planned adaptation is pretty good too. Like anticipating and preparing for those challenges, saying, hey, I know this isn't going to go perfectly. What are some things that could potentially go wrong? Then you take a look at it and you're like, oh, blah, 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 whatever your job occupation is. Lastly, you want to have that continuous improvement. Okay, regularly review and enhance your performance all that you can. Because self awareness, like we talked about before, is a great quality. And this is kind of you just being self aware right here. Hey, what am I doing and how can I be better at what I'm doing? So, in order to get better at what you're doing, you're going to need to apply this growth mindset in your place of work, in your job. Okay. So let's take a look at some of these responses. These are examples of growth mindset versus fixed mindset. So your fixed mindset response, I'm not good at this. But a growth mindset alternative, instead of saying, I'm not good at this, you can say, I'm not good at this yet, or I can learn this with practice. Another example of a fixed mindset is, that's too difficult. Growth mindset is, this is challenging, but worthwhile. It's challenging, it's difficult, but I know that I can do it, right? Another fixed mindset response is, feedback feels like criticism. And a growth mindset is, feedback helps me improve. Love that one. And lastly, a great example of a fixed mindset is, other success threatens me. And a growth mindset alternative is, other success inspires me. Maybe your coworker's doing a little better than you are. So don't be jealous, don't be envious, don't feel threatened. Use that as fuel to your fire to get better. Use that as inspiration. Hey, I want to be like them. Maybe you can learn something from them. Now let's talk about resilience and emotional intelligence. So, resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, adapt to change, and to keep going despite adversity. Okay, keep going no matter what happens. Maybe you're on your way to work and you got a flat tire. Instead of letting that ruin your day, call an Uber and keep going to work, or call a tow truck, or change the tire yourself and then keep going. Don't let that set you back or change who you are. Emotional intelligence, the capacity to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions and influence others' emotions. This is wonderful. Okay, always be aware of your emotions and how they affect other people. And lastly, if you have these two things, emotional intelligence and resilience, you are going to be a better decision maker. You're going to have stronger relationships in your life. And you could even have great leadership effectiveness if you're in a leadership role in your job one day, maybe as a manager or a supervisor. These are great things to work on. And in order to have these things, right, to be emotionally intelligent and just self aware and not get, be resilient, not get upset or sweat the small stuff, you need to manage your stress effectively. Okay. I know a lot of us sometimes get a short fuse when we're stressed out, or, oh, I'm just so angry. I have a flat tire. I'm going back to that example. We need to identify those triggers. Recognize personal stress patterns and situations. What stresses you out? Can you avoid it? Think about your social support. Do you have other people that you can vent to or talk to about it? Do you have people that you can ask for help when you need it? Personally, one of my triggers is laundry. I get really, really stressed out when I have a huge pile of laundry in my laundry room. Like, I'm talking about as tall as a toddler. So I always reach out to a friend or mom and ask if they can wash my laundry. Like, hey, can you come help me with laundry this weekend? I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Physical techniques can also be helpful, like deep breathing, exercise, and definitely getting adequate rest. If you're not getting enough sleep, you automatically have a shorter fuse than you would if you got adequate sleep. Also, practicing mindfulness, having those mental strategies, perspective taking, and being positive to yourself and having grace with yourself and love, and just remembering who you are, that you're amazing despite your circumstances or whatever is happening in your life. You are amazing. You can identify your triggers to manage your stress. You can use physical techniques to calm down your body physically. You can ask for help and, reach out to your group of social support, but also those mental strategies, which is what we're working on some today, are very, very helpful. You are going to have conflict in your place of work. It's just going to happen. Okay. So there are some tips that I can give you here to practice navigating that conflict. Number one is active listening. Okay. Seek to understand before being understood. Focus on what others are saying first without planning your response. So when you're actively listening, you are asking that person questions. Did I hear you correctly? Is that right? You are not just stopping until they finish what they're saying and then you finish what you're saying. You're not doing that. You are listening to them. You're not hearing them, but you're listening so that you can problem solve. Also, practice empathy. Try to see the situation from another person's perspective. Put yourself in their shoes and recognize that their views are valid to them. Imagine whatever happened to them happening to you. Would you feel differently about it? Practice empathy. Constructive communication. This is a big one. Use I statements to express your feelings. Say, I feel this way because da 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 da. Focus on behaviors. Like, you specifically did this rather than character judgments. Okay. Don't say anything that is super subjective. Be very objective. Stick to the facts. Say, this is what happened. This is what you specifically did. This was your behavior. Don't put anything in the situation that is subjective when you're talking to this person. Only focus on the facts and what happened. And again, use I statements when you're expressing how you feel. I feel this way because your behavior was this, or I feel this way because you specifically did this thing. Okay, be very objective. And then lastly, you guys are going to come to a solution. All right. Collaborative resolution, working together to find a solution that addresses all parties' needs. Okay. You have to focus on mutual interests, that person and you, not just you, all about you and what you want, but focusing on that person as well. A great way to come to the solution is to build emotional intelligence, just being self aware, right? Recognizing your emotions, understanding how they affect your thoughts and behavior, and why you feel the way you feel. Number two is self regulation. Okay, manage disruptive emotions and adapt to changing circumstances. Allow yourself to be regulated and not to get upset about the small things or super angry or super mad. And I'm not saying it's not okay to be upset or mad or have big emotions, right? But just make sure that you are regulating those emotions. Okay, you can be mad, you can be sad, but we're not going to sit in it all day long or be upset about it for weeks on end, because that is just not practicing healthy lifestyle or building good emotional intelligence. Number three, being aware, right? Social awareness, understanding others' emotions, needs, and concerns. And that all goes back to active listening. You're not going to understand that if you're not actively listening and paying attention to your coworkers and their actions and what's going on around you. So be aware of your social situation. And lastly, the fourth component to emotional intelligence is relationship management. Develop and maintain good relationships, communicate clearly, and influence others. Okay, make sure that you maintain a good relationship with everyone in your company, from the CEO to the janitor. Okay, it's important to be kind to everyone and communicate clearly with everyone and have good relationships with everyone. And did you know that people who have a really strong sense of emotional intelligence and practice resilience are 7 times more likely to get promoted? Yes, resilient employees advance faster in their careers. Also, they experience 60% less burnout. So there are lower rates of stress related illness and turnover if you are actively practicing that emotional intelligence and resilience and trying to just have a growth mindset and be positive. Also, 3 times 3 times greater innovation. Like, because you're more willing to take calculated risks and learn from your failure and have that resilience. People that practice resilience are 3 times more likely to bring greater innovation to their company. Bouncing back from setbacks isn't just personal, it's professional. And resilient teams and resilient people transform failures into valuable learning experiences. And this is a truly wonderful quality to bring into any company. So it's very important that you integrate this positive attitude, resilience, growth mindset, all of that. We want to cultivate positive thinking today. Practice reframing challenges as opportunities. Start team meetings with solution focused questions. Be very, very positive in every situation. Develop that growth mindset. Embrace challenges and seek feedback. Replace I can't with I can't yet in your vocabulary. I love that, the power of yet. It is a beautiful thing and it can really change your mindset. And lastly, I want you to build resilience, right? One of my favorite quotes is, a successful person fails many times. Don't give up. Create those stress management routines. Allow yourself to be stressed and to manage it in a healthy way. Practice emotional awareness through your daily reflection and building yourself into a better person.